Today's episode has been brought to you by Offering Tree. Have you heard of Offering Tree yet? It's what I use to register students for my online classes, workshops, and trainings because Offering Tree is an amazing company. They're listening to what yoga teachers and studios need, and they really care about yoga and yoga teachers. Go to offeringtree.com/Shannon for a special podcast listener discount. And today's episode is also brought to you by Pelvic Health Professionals. This is an online membership for yoga teachers, PTs, movement educators, healthcare professionals, and anyone wanting to learn more about pelvic health. In there, we hire guest experts to teach us the most up-to-date information. And you get to attend those live calls or catch the replays and get your questions answered. Join us over at pelvichealthprofessionals.com. Hello and welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Crow. My pronouns are she, her, and this podcast is being recorded on Anishinaabe, Odawa, and Mississauga land, also called the Bruce Peninsula in Ontario, Canada. If you are new here, welcome. You might not know that I'm also a mom of 3. I want to tell you all, as I'm recording this episode, I'm just coming away from a weekend where my kids and I all went to a Halloween dance, and oh my goodness, we had such a fun time, so many laughs. There are times when it is really fun when your children are late teens, early young adults, and you all get to go out together dressed up for Halloween. Thank you to those of you who voted on Instagram. I was debating, should I be a butterfly or a baker? And most of you chose butterfly, and so that's what I went as. It was a lot of fun. Also, I'm a yoga teacher and founder of Pelvic Health Professionals. If you are a returning listener, you know the drill here. This podcast was created for you, the yoga teacher, so that each and every week you can be connected to the information and inspiration that will support you as you build this yoga business, as you do the day-to-day stuff, planning your classes, looking at your calendar, trying to fit everything in on top of life. And I get it. It can be so overwhelming at times. And also, it can feel like, is this actually what yoga is? Is this yoga? Because hopefully you have felt that day as a yoga teacher and as a yoga practitioner where everything just kind of clicks into place. You know those days you maybe are studying some yoga philosophy or you read something about yoga, maybe the sutras or something else, and you're doing your own yoga practice, and then bam, it's like this light bulb moment, and you can see when the yoga philosophy applies to your own life. And it helps you to deal with the situation you are facing in that moment. I love those moments as a yoga practitioner and as a yoga teacher. That's the real juice where I feel like, I can really know what this feels like and then possibly share it with my students. And then the flip side of that, and I want to be honest in this, in my own experience, and also in the many conversations that I've had with yoga teachers over the years, sometimes when we get talking about making money and running a business, it can feel far from yoga and those light bulb moments. It can feel like almost as the opposite of yoga and the philosophy that goes along with yoga. I have felt that. Many yoga teachers who I've talked with have felt that. And that's why I'm really excited about today's podcast. I invited Rebecca Sebastian to talk through this today on the podcast so that we can all be part of that conversation. And we dove right in. At the top of the episode, we talk about why yoga teachers are struggling to make money and be okay with making money, and why we all need to double our prices today. Oh my gosh, I can't wait until you hear that. We also talked about how to make our offerings more accessible. So allowing people to access our offerings and how to still make a sustainable living while doing that. What to do about when you're feeling uncomfortable selling yoga, and how does yoga philosophy fit in with running a yoga business? We talked about much, much more beyond this. This really is a pep talk to return to when you're struggling to make money as a yoga teacher and when marketing and business isn't feeling in alignment with yoga. Rebecca Sebastian has been teaching yoga for 20 years. 10 of those, she's been working as a yoga therapist. She's also a yoga studio owner, yoga nonprofit founder, and the host of the Working in Yoga podcast. I had the privilege of meeting Rebecca in person at the Yoga Teacher Conf in Denver, Colorado. She is not at all afraid to stand up for human rights, basic human rights, and yoga in itself. She's also very funny. You're going to hear that today. And another example of this is I was just laughing as I was looking at her podcast application and her own bio, and she was talking about all the things that she has done. And she said, I quote, "I work all of those jobs for myself because I'm generally unruly and better left to my own devices." This makes me laugh so much, Rebecca, because I feel like I'm sort of the same, cut from the same cloth, I think I would say. And I also really appreciate Connected Yoga Teachers that Rebecca tells it like it is. She isn't afraid to talk about making money as a yoga teacher. I appreciate the work that she's doing. I'm excited that you get to meet her here today. And we're going to talk about running a yoga business and how this connects or sometimes doesn't connect with yoga philosophy. Let's dive right in and meet Rebecca. Welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast, Rebecca. It's so great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Shannon. I'm excited for our conversation, and I'm going to try and make you laugh.
Well, you already have done that yes. With your submission of your podcast form, because there's all these questions about the topic we're going to talk about today. And then one of the questions is, why do people think pineapple belongs on pizza? I already started laughing.
I stand by that statement.
If anyone disagrees, you can email Rebecca. Before we get into today's episode, tell us, what is the work that you do and who do you do it for?
So I am a lot of things. I am a 20-plus year yoga teacher. I am a 10-year yoga therapist. I own a yoga studio in Davenport, Iowa. I am a podcast host. I host the podcast Working in Yoga. And also I travel around and talk a lot about yoga and money and business and how we can make it better.
Do you also run an apothecary?
Oh, yeah, I do that too. Thanks. And also I'm a mentor for Inner Peace Yoga Therapy. Thanks. But yes, I have an apothecary. We sell custom blended teas and bulk herbs and self-care items. And yes, I'm busy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited that today we're going to talk about the business side of yoga and how that goes along with the philosophy side of yoga. And I'm excited because a lot of our connected yoga teachers at some point will say, you know, oh, this marketing thing just doesn't feel like yoga. This business doesn't feel like yoga. I don't think this is fitting. And I immediately thought of you with this topic. So tell us, why do we have this struggle in the first place as yoga teachers? Why are we struggling to make money and be okay with making money?
Oh, that is a really juicy question. And I think it's complicated, right? So I think we have a few factors at play. One is that we have this industry that is full of women and marginalized folks. We are overwhelmingly female and folks of color and queer community humans who run our businesses. And we have been cultured for a stupidly long period of time to not be fighting for access to monetary wealth. We are taught that that's not what we do as humans, right? And couple that with this yoga philosophy that we all sort of have learned and subscribed to in the West, like this is our westernized version of yoga philosophy, means that we are non-judgment, non-attachment. We don't need stuff. It's not okay to want things. But we've taken it almost too far, I feel. Like we've taken it to the point where it's not okay to want a sustainable living. And that's just silliness. Like you can make money doing this job. It's okay to make money as a yoga professional. None of us are going to be billionaires, but the one guy with the pants company anyway. So you are not the problem. I promise you are not the problem. So go ahead and make some money.
Right. And
also, like right now, double your prices.
Every yoga teacher listening,
right now,
double your prices.
Go. Double your prices.
I'm taking a deep breath because I just got an email today where someone, like we have our pelvic health professionals membership and we always ask the question, oh, you're leaving? Why are you leaving? Most often it's, I just don't have time to get through all this stuff. And someone did say, it's too expensive. And I'm like, huh? It's too expensive? I was just going to raise the price. I probably should double the price. I probably should listen to your your tip on this. It's what every business coach has told me, and yet it still exists there. Okay, so it's there. What can we do then when this is all there because who we are as entrepreneurs and yoga teachers, and it's there within how we view this philosophy, and as you said, we've taken it too far. How can we, other than doubling our prices?
So actually, I still very much stand by doubling our prices because I feel like there's more than one way to be of service. This is the aspect, especially in the yoga therapy community, where people have dove deep into spending several tens of thousands of dollars for their trainings. And then they go, but I want to make sure that everything I'm offering is accessible. And there's more than one way to do that. I promise there's more than one way. Oftentimes I hear people say sliding scale or equity pricing, which is just sliding scale. Equity pricing is just sliding scale, essentially, is how I'm going to make myself more accessible. And then you end up not making a sustainable living. But the truth of the matter is that if you want to be of service, you have to make enough money to not be the person who needs help. So make your money and build service into your pricing. That's one of the things that I do at my studio, right? So I also run a nonprofit, which is another way that I've built service into my work. Maybe I forgot to mention that in the intro, but I also run the nonprofit, the Quad Cities Yoga Foundation. But for those of us who don't run nonprofits, right, you can choose to be charging a premium cost and then build service into your pricing. For every 4 people who pay your prices, 1 person comes for free. I mean, there's so many amazing ways to do that. I do that for my memberships. For every so many memberships that I have then service memberships. And those memberships are not actually publicly advertised. It's for people I connect with in the community. I go to nonprofits. I go to places that are connecting with women who are challenged with domestic violence situations. And I say, look, I have this thing. If anybody here is interested in a service membership, come talk to me. It's quiet. It's not advertised. It's not something that I'm trying to shout about, but there are other ways to be of service. I make my money in 75% of my customers, and then 25% of my customers are service. You can do that too. You just have to charge enough money to make your money in 75% of your time. If you work 20 hours a week, 15 of those hours can be you charging a premium rate to humans who can pay your premium rate. And then 5 of those hours can be you being of service to humans who really need it, right? Even in sliding scale, if your lowest sliding scale for a private yoga class is $40, say, which is really low and you should charge more than that, but I'm just using that as a number, right? There's going to be plenty of people out there who can't pay you $40 for a private session. And I'm going to be willing to bet those are the humans you want to reach anyway. So figure out a different way to do it. I believe we can and make sustainable livings.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good. And I'm thinking about a few business models where like I buy all of my shampoo from Amy, who is a small business in Canada who makes organic bars of shampoo. And so there's no plastic. And then she plants trees. And I know, like, I pay a premium for her product. And I'm okay with that because then I know she's planting trees, she's taking care of the environment, she's doing all of these things with her business over there. Connected yoga teachers, I want to tell you that I have a discount code for the shampoo and conditioner bars that I was talking about here, made by Amy of High End Hippie. I will put a link in the show notes to Amy's website. And when you go to the website, use the code CONNECTED15. And to clarify, Amy does not sponsor the podcast yet, but if enough of you are buying with this discount code, she just might notice and might sponsor our podcast. So you would get amazing hair products, the ones that I love, 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 and then also get a discount, and you would support the podcast. It's a win-win. Oh, and you'd also support an amazing entrepreneur. Okay, I just had to tell you that. Now let's get back into the conversation that I was having with Rebecca. So not everyone can buy her product, but the people that do are making an impact. So we can, this is great. We can give donations as well. Like, let's say we charge a premium. We could also give a donation so that other people can have access to something else that they need. We can donate money that way. And we can't do that unless we start to have a sustainable, profitable business.
Yes. I mean, that's where it all begins from. Like, I encourage people, and I think that this really goes back to the yoga philosophy of it. Anything that is rooted in guilt and shame, let's deconstruct that. And if your relationship with money and making a sustainable living is rooted in guilt and shame, let's talk about it for a minute, because I think we can do better. I think actually, as an industry, we are so well positioned to be some of the most service-oriented humans on the planet. Like, what other profession has literal precepts that we talk about, philosophy that is built into what we do to be good humans? I mean, yoga is littered with amazing humans. So let's go make a difference. And we know that the way we make a difference is to make money first.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And I always think, oh, I want the wealthy people of the world to be the yoga teachers. Oh, so
but
good.
there are those good, wealthy humans out there. Like, that's one of the things that I think anybody listening, I would challenge you to go Google billionaires who've done good work. Go find the guy from Sweden who bought the rainforest to preserve it. Because let's go be like that guy. Let's go be like Beyonce, who was like, well, Houston got flooded from a hurricane. I'm just going to try and fix that.
Right.
Like, let's go do that kind of work.
Dolly Parton's been doing a lot lately. Yeah.
Right. What has Dolly Parton not done? She's given books away to my children. Like, my children got her reading library. She has put money for vaccines in there. She is sending all of her employees to college. Like, I mean, what has she? Go be rich like Dolly Parton.
Right. Exactly. Okay. And so I love how you said, let's dig into this money thing and look at billionaires who are wealthy and doing good with that money, because we can be so quick. And I think we learn this. We probably hear it from our parents and adults around us in society. Like, oh, it must be nice to be that rich, or look at that guy, like, just wasting all of his money over there on, I don't know, some fancy car or something. We put a lot of judgments on wealth.
Yeah. Rockets to space. We've all had something to say about somebody putting a rich dude in space, while the rest of us are here like, well, the earth is burning and, that feels uncomfortable.
Yes.
But the truth is that I think we are positioned to radically redistribute wealth. Like, that's why I'm in this. That's why I'm in the business side of this. Go get money and redistribute it, because that's how this gets better. If good humans have conscious moral effort to make money and do good with it, we can change how this works. And again, this is rooted so deeply in yoga philosophy for me. Like, it doesn't have to be that we choose to have nothing. Go have money, make a sustainable living. I mean, when I first started the nonprofit and I was looking around at the other yoga teachers in the room, one of the things that we wanted to do was see if we could create a scholarship program for people who couldn't afford yoga classes in our community. And when you start a scholarship program, there has to be a cutoff line, right? Like you have to make this amount of money or less in order to qualify for a scholarship program. And our cutoff line was the poverty line in the United States. And I looked around at a room full of individuals who all made our cutoff line. 100% of us. If we cut our own income, we were at poverty line.
Right.
And that's like, that can't be okay as we're all, you know, taking the mickey out of each other for the goats and the beer and all the other things. Like, why do y'all think people make those choices? They make those choices because we have a literal industry full of women and minority humans who live at poverty wages. Like,
right.
And then you like, don't go bag on the person who makes $200 for an hour of goat yoga. Let's fix the system that we all live in that allows that person to have to make that choice, because $200 is a lot of money for an hour. And maybe that pays her bills. Maybe that's how she puts food on the table. Like, let's attack that part of this problem.
Oh yeah. I taught all kinds of yoga. Let your yoga dance, dancing yoga, hot yoga, yoga to parties as a single mom trying to pay my bills. Yeah. Okay. I like that you said this because sometimes that can be really hard on both Rockets to Space by Billionaires and also goat yoga.
Which I also think I put in my form too. Like, but
yes.
like truthfully, and I so understand, because cultural appropriation and the whitewashing of yoga is a real challenge in our industry, and one that I also want to attack head on. But one of the reasons that I see that we're not having the conversation that is shifting the needle, because we're having a lot of these conversations about cultural appropriation and what we should and shouldn't be doing, what's okay, but we're not shifting the needle, I don't think. I don't see the needle moving. We're just adding some shame to the conversation. So to me, I want to shift the needle. I want to give those humans who are teaching goat yoga the option to make a sustainable living in a way that is morally and ethically aligned with what yoga truly teaches. And oftentimes we don't have those opportunities. That's the straight out truth. If you want to choose to teach a $200 class where you make $200 teaching goat yoga, or $10 teaching the yamas and niyamas at a local yoga studio, the frank truth is that we're not being very nice for blaming that person who's choosing the $200 class. We all have to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you tell yoga teachers when they come to you and say, I need to set the price of this offering? I need to set the price for my one-on-one or this workshop. How do I price this?
I mean, that's a good question, and probably the one I get asked the most. So pricing for me has two factors. One is your own personal experience, expertise, and skill set. So that's your training. How much you know about what you know. Did you just become a 200-hour yoga teacher trainer at the end of January? Well, that's a different price than somebody who, like me, has been teaching 20 years. That plus your market. So your market is just where you are in a community. If you're in New York City, you can charge something different than you're charging where I live in Iowa. Like, I charge $120 as a yoga therapist per hour in Iowa, and I'm double what most massage therapists charge in town. I'm like by far the most expensive in town. But yoga therapy in LA can be $300 for an hour because that's LA prices. So your market, where you're at, and if you're on the internet, that can be anywhere. You can charge whatever you want on the internet because your market is literally global. But if you're working locally, you have to take a look at what a massage therapist charges, what a chiro would charge, those sorts of what your personal trainer would charge. Kind of take those pieces and go, okay, so this is how much is on average in my area, and combine that with your skill set. Are you new? Are you not new? Do you know a lot about one particular thing? You can probably charge more for that. Like, one of the things that I think we get wrong is we think in our brains that we're selling yoga. And I want to encourage everybody to just unpack the heck out of this idea. But I feel uncomfortable charging for yoga. Great. Don't charge money for yoga. Do what I do. Give it away for free as a gift. I promise every person who comes to me gets the yoga for free, but you get my skill set. If you come to my studio, you're getting the experience I curate for my customers who come in. That's what you pay me for. You can get a book about yoga from the library, and you can do that all for free. The yoga is free. It's not mine to sell. It's not yours to sell. But consider commodifying something different. Commodify the experience. Commodify the skill set. Yoga is this amazing tradition, this spiritual discipline. Stop selling it. Sell something else and charge a premium price for it.
Right. This is so true. A good friend of mine, Betty, has a home studio. She does really well. Financially, her studio is always booked. And she said, you know what? I supply all the props here. I really like to look after my yoga students. I like them to walk in, not have to think about anything. And that's exactly what she's doing,
Yeah. She's selling the experience. She curates, as am I at my studio. If you're online, I think online is an interesting place because experience happens, I think, in most of our brains in person. You walk into my studio and I'm going to give you that cup of tea because that's part of the experience of coming into my studio. Here's a cup of tea. My candles are lit. It smells a certain way. We have, a certain kind of music playing. Always. I'm tight about my experience because that's what people pay me for. But when you're online, what do you sell? You're selling your own unique personality, right? You're selling your way of teaching something. You're selling your skill set. Again, the yoga's free. It's not ours to sell. That doesn't mean we can't make money.
Right. Right. People really benefit from it and need it. I'm popping in here for a moment, Connected Yoga Teachers, to give a huge shout out of thank you to the team over at Offering Tree for not only sponsoring today's episode, but also for going above and beyond being the all-in-one software that helps yoga teachers to book students in for their classes, workshops, and trainings. But also, above and beyond that, listening to the challenges that yoga teachers are facing. For example, they are teaming up with Be Yogi and my good friend Amanda McKinney for a workshop that's happening this week if you're listening in real time. It's about uncovering your confidence as a yoga teacher. In this 1-hour online workshop that is free, Amanda McKinney will share tips on how to uncover this internal confidence so you can be a confident entrepreneur. Connected Yoga Teachers, I want to tell you that over the years, that's one of the biggest challenges that I hear yoga teachers talking about is confidence. We've covered it here on the podcast in previous episodes. Amanda also hears the same thing as she works with yoga teachers. And I love that Offering Tree is saying, you know what, let's do a workshop on that. Let's do a free workshop. Amanda's joined them to do that, along with Be Yogi, a great insurance company. And it's free for you to register. You do not have to be an Offering Tree user to do so. So I'll make sure to link to that in the show notes. And if you're looking for other helpful workshops and trainings, make sure you are on the email list for Offering Tree. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need a website, I need a way to book yoga students in, make sure to check out Offering Tree and use our discount code. It's what I use. I love how automatic it is, how it saves me so much time when people are signing up, paying for my workshops and trainings, and then filling out all of the forms and things that need to be done. Our special podcast listener discount is over at offeringtree.com/Shannon. Now let's get back to our conversation with Rebecca. Okay, you also said that you charge, now you've had 20 years of experience as a yoga teacher, you're charging double what the massage therapists in your area are. And I just want to highlight that because I often tell teachers, start there. Let's say you want to share one-on-one yoga, look at the massage therapist, the the chiropractors in your area and look at what their rate is. Yours needs to be at least in line with that. And sometimes people really struggle with that. And I think, really, you've got an hour-long massage. You walk in feeling stressed out and tense, and you walk out hopefully feeling better and relaxed. And you just pay the money for it. But
yeah.
It's not the same with yoga.
It isn't, is it? And so I wonder why that is, because first of all, I have to tell you, as a yoga therapist, the minute my hourly rate went over $100, I had the best clients.
Yeah.
Nobody ever misses a session with me, ever. And I'm like really rigid on time. If you come 15 minutes late, I am not the girl who's going to be like, oh, no big deal. I'm going to be like, we still end at the same time. Time is time because you have a clock.
Yeah. Yes.
But I mean, part of it is that for me, I'm also teaching people skills that they're going to go home and do themselves so that they don't need to see me next week like they might need to see their massage therapist. And also, skill set matters. Like, how good are you at your job? Start low so there's a place for you to move to, but don't start so low that if you want to make $120 an hour, please don't start at 30.
Yeah.
Like, it will take you 15 years to get there.
Yes. So true. And also, on a note on this, I used to do Thai yoga massage. And when I wanted to niche down, I just thought, well, I'll just keep increasing my rate. I think it was $140. And this was when a good massage would cost you about $70. And I thought, this will do it. Less people will book. Nope, that is not what happened. More people booked, and I had it was even harder to let it go. So give it a try. Try and increase your prices. That's what we'll name this episode, like double your rate.
Yes. Double your rate right now. And I mean, charge enough that you're uncomfortable. Like, charge enough money that it makes you sweat a little bit. And then just know, if you get that money, like, make that internal commitment. Like, make it your sin culpa if you want to. Like, once you start making this money, go do good work with it. And don't feel guilty about it. You know what? Don't feel guilty if you make finally the money that you want to make, and then you go buy yourself the piece of jewelry that you've always wanted. Also, don't feel guilty about that. Anything that is laced with shame, I want you to unpack. Like, is it really the problem that you're buying that piece of sustainable jewelry? Does that really make you not yoga? If that's all it takes to not be yoga, I want you to slide into your practice and like be wildly accepting of yourself in every possible facet, including the facet that allows you to make a sustainable living.
Right. What about the yoga teacher who's feeling like, you know what, I really loved yoga. I wanted to share yoga. I didn't sign up for all this business stuff. I don't want to market. I don't want to do this.
I have a nonprofit you can join. I mean,
right.
There are ways to do good, but also impact matters, right? This is something that I also want to, like, there's so many yoga teachers out there who think, I'm going to make yoga accessible. I'm going to give it away for free on my Facebook page. Okay. Are the people you want to reach following you on Facebook or Instagram? Probably not. It's an effort to be of service. It is not just you've heard the phrase throwing money at a problem. All you're doing is throwing time at a problem. Like, if you want to create impact, that's effort. I promise. If you really want to touch the communities who don't have easy access to yoga, that's work. It is real, legitimate work. And if you're uncomfortable with money in the for-profit world, I promise you the nonprofit world is about 100 times worse.
Right.
like you want to know a group of people who are talking about money constantly? It is nonprofit people, because we are thinking about it all the time. What grants can we write? When is the deadline? Do we have enough money to do this project that's creating the most impact that we can create? Like, but that's also how you make a difference. It's work making a difference. If you believe that yoga makes a difference in people's lives, get to work.
We had a podcast episode with someone who was very skilled in running a nonprofit, and That was exactly the message over and over again. You are still going to need to market and generate income, maybe more. So I appreciate you saying that.
Let me reiterate 1,000 times that very message, because oftentimes because I run a nonprofit, I get these texts and messages and DMs all the time. I'm thinking about turning my business into a nonprofit. And all I'm hearing from the people who are saying that to me is money work makes me uncomfortable and I am unwilling to do it. So if you don't want to unpack your issues and mindset with money, please stay out of the nonprofit world because it is very hard.
Are there any resources that you have for unpacking money stuff?
Oh my gosh, yes. So the first thing I would do is there's the classic mindset book by Carol Dweck. I'm going to bet that you have read this, Shannon, but it's called Mindset. And it is just classic. It is unpacking everything about mindset in all aspects of your life, your relationship, your family, your workplace, your money, all of those things. Like money work is mindset work completely. And then if you start Googling things like how to run a feminist business, which is something I talk about a lot, I think, and feminist is also not an inclusive term. So I'm just trying to adopt intersectional feminist business because I really want to include absolutely every human in this idea that really we can run businesses that are set to redistribute wealth to the humans that we know are worthy of this wealth. And just start Googling feminist business principles and you will get it. I got excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. I want to make enough money that I can make an impact in the world around me.
This is so good. And I also appreciate that you're saying that's kind of now an outdated term, but we can still find it if we Google it. And then just to be really aware if it sounds like the language is excluding.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, and I do use that term feminist business partially because there are other humans that have gone before me that sort of coined the term. Yeah. And I don't like who am I, right? I'm not going to reinvent the term, but I am going to add that I want intersectional to be in front of it because I want to lift up everybody, like literally absolutely everybody. I want all of the amazing humans listening to make more money and go do great things because I know we can.
Okay, so this brings up a question then of, can we all? Is there room for that? Because I think the moment yoga teachers start to look around in their own community and they look at that yoga studio down the road and then they think, oh, they're taking all of my students, like this competitive lack comes in. So how do we tackle that?
Ooh, oh my gosh. Isn't that true though? Yoga is the most cutthroat, nice business that you ever did see.
Yes.
And we are not nice about it. And part of it is because I think we've all been participating in this sort of business model that doesn't work. For years, what I was taught for years was to teach classes and to fight for those drop-in, I'm going to make $10 a person or $20 a person and fight for those individual humans to come into the room. And that's how I was going to make my money. And if not enough people came into my room, that meant they were going somewhere else. And so me and this other person were fighting over the humans. Let's stop doing that right now because it doesn't work and it is not necessary. I want you to find your humans. And I want you to charge them enough money for you to make a living. Do you want to make $1,000 a month? You can do that with one person, or you can do that with 20. Do you want to make $5,000 a month? You can still do that with one person or 20. Likely it's not going to be that one person unless you're living in LA, for example, and right. Your market is like Brentwood or something. But you don't have to. Yoga can be accessible in so many ways, right? It doesn't have to be that we're charging so little that everybody can afford to, quote unquote, afford to come, because there'll still be people who can't, I promise.
Yeah. I love how you said find your people. So when we work in our niche or specialty, then we can really see, okay, who do I want to work with? Who is drawn to work with me? How can I help this specific group of people? This is good.
Yeah. Go make a spreadsheet. If you want to figure out who you're going to help and you are a brand new yoga teacher, take every class that you can and go make a spreadsheet. Say, I see people who have this and this and this and this. I see people who are excited about this part of my content. Go track it. Get good at the things people are excited about. And then go charge money for that. Make a living and help people.
Yeah.
But the make a living has to come first. You got to make a living first.
Yes. Yes. The yoga teachers who want to do this and who, shy away from the making money and having a sustainable business, a lot of them need to go out and get a different job. They have to stop teaching yoga and then they're not able to help people using yoga. Maybe they've found something else, but if yoga was the thing they wanted to share, they really have to dig into the business.
Yes.
Is there anything that you wish that yoga teachers knew about how yoga philosophy goes well with business?
I mean, I think first, what I want folks to do is really decolonize and deconstruct the philosophy as it relates to life. So I want you to go deeper than your teacher trainings. I want you to go deeper than the Instagram posts that are giving you 5 ways to bring philosophy into your yoga classes. In fact, if there's anything that you could skip forever, it would be tip yoga posts on Instagram. Like anybody who's like, here's 5 tips for, you should skip that right away. Like yoga is a deeper philosophy than that. And what we're doing cannot ever be encompassed in a carousel post or a reel on Instagram. So go find a teacher who is really familiar with the philosophy, who has a lineage that they can talk about. My teacher, Nishtala, she is who taught me about the yamas and the niyamas. And dive deep, read the books, ask the questions, and then know that this cannot just be for you, because you'll start with how it works in your life, right? You're going to go, okay, so how can I be more truthful with my family and with myself? But then how can you be more truthful with your relationship with money? Like, are you being honest about how it scares you? Because the minute that you really are honest with yourself about how making a living scares you, we can unpack all of that. But you need that first moment of saying, man, this scares the crap out of me. And it makes me feel super uncomfortable because nothing in my life has really set me up to believe that I'm good enough or that what I have to offer has enough value for me to charge money for it.
So good. I love this suggestion of digging into that philosophy. I'm thinking of 2 teachers who we've had on the podcast, maybe 3. Chase Bossart, Sham is going to be on. I'm not sure when that episode is. And then also Jivana Heyman.
Yeah.
Connected yoga teachers, I wanted to pop in here quick and add another name to this list. We did an interview with Indu Aurora since I talked with Rebecca, and she is someone I would suggest following and learning from. And if you have a great yoga philosophy teacher, tell us about them in the comments for this podcast over at theconnectedyogateacher.com/297. Okay, just wanted to pop in quick and tell you about that note. Let's get back to the interview. Like really finding someone who digs into that philosophy is a great idea. And those people are also running a sustainable business as well as teaching philosophy. If they're doing it well and you found them, they're doing it also.
Yeah. Go dive deep into it. I mean, the philosophical practices that we have that are supporting our yoga practice are amazing. And like, it feels infinite. Like I could dive deep into the philosophy and feel like I could never hit bottom and still always be changing and evolving and shifting to be, the best human that I can be in that moment. And then sometimes I'll have another moment where I'm like, this is not my best human self. And I'm going to dive right back in after I've had a piece of cake and some chips and maybe scrolled TikTok for a little bit. Because also, remember, no shame, y'all.
Right.
Like, no shame. This is a process.
Right. This is so good. Is there anything else that you'd say to the yoga teachers out there who are feeling like, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can double my rates or increase my rates in some way or start to unpack my money stuff. Is there anything else that you wish that our yoga teacher listeners knew?
I always want to encourage folks to sort of take the money part on as a real intentional practice. Like if you were going to try and shift something in your yoga practice, you would do it for more than a week, or you would do it for more than one journaling session. You would be like, look, I'm in for the 42 days. And let me encourage you to try it. Like journal about your feelings about money every day. Figure out once you start journaling, what part makes you uncomfortable, and then figure out how to look at your business from that sense. Like if hearing me or Shannon say double your prices makes you feel super uncomfortable, why? Dive deep for a long time and figure it out, because I believe that you can make money and create impact and do good things. Like it's not an either or. It can be a both and.
Yeah. This is so good. It's reminding me of, I might have shared this on the podcast before. I was going through my own money mindset stuff for a while, and I thought, you know what? While I do my morning practice, I'm going to listen to this podcast on money. And it felt really wrong. I was so judgy about this. No one else is judging me on this. I was like, first of all, is this really yoga, Shannon? If you're listening to a podcast, are you being very mindful? And I just thought, no, I need this. I want to move my body and also think about money stuff because something has me stuck. And it worked. I did it for a while. It was part of my practice. It's not now, but I just thought, let's try it. Let's see how it goes.
There also, I think, are some great books out there that if y'all have readers that are listening, my two favorites that I've read that came out in 2020, 2021, one is Ladies Get Paid by Claire Wasserman. And she talks a little bit about like negotiating and money, but she also talks about the mindset and how women or those humans who have been cultured to be women tend to downgrade what we're charging for ourselves. And Rachel Rogers also does that. Her book is We Should All Be Millionaires. And she also has a podcast, and I love her. And I read her book, and there was one statistic that I felt so called out on in reading this book. And it was that 45% of women lower their prices before their client or customer asks for it. So somebody says, how much do you cost? And then you've done some sort of mental gymnastics in your head that you're like, oh, but so-and-so can't afford this, so I'm going to say this, even though my rates are really, $120 an hour. Like somehow in your head, you're like, I'll just say 100 because I want to be nice. And I was like, oh my God, I have done that 100 times in the last 20 years.
Right.
Never again.
That's a really high percentage.
Yes.
It's not like your dentist is doing that or the guy who fixes your car. He just has his, I'm saying he right away.
Yeah.
They have their set rates.
Yeah.
And nobody's questioning it. I mean, maybe someone's like, oh, that costs too much. I'm going to a different mechanic. But a lot of the time we as customers equate value with the price of something. So
also, nobody's doing that to their massage therapist or personal trainer.
No.
If you want to talk about a job that's closer to what we're doing, like you're also not like, man, I wonder if my massage therapist is really giving me their actual rates or if they've cut the cost off by $5.
Right.
Like, no, it's $60 an hour or $70 an hour for everybody.
Yeah. And then oftentimes customers are like, should I be leaving them a tip? How much should the tip be? Like they're figuring out how to pay them more. So, okay.
Yeah.
This is all so great. If our yoga teachers want to connect more with you and learn more from you, how do they do that? So
a good way to find me for work like this is my Instagram account at Rebecca Sebastian Yoga. You can always send me an email, rebecca@sunlightyogatherapy.com. But Instagram is a great place to find me. And I write about this stuff on Medium, so you can follow me on Medium, Rebecca Sebastian Yoga too.
Okay. We'll make sure to put links to all of those in our show notes. Thank you so much. This is an important conversation. It's one of the most common things that yoga teachers ask about. How can I make more money? And it's also the most common one that they don't want to talk about. So thank you for having this chat today.
Yes.
All right. And we still haven't answered the two questions that you put on here. What's with all the goats and why pineapple on pizza? But I feel like you've answered that. Both of them.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from our listeners. What are your thoughts on goat yoga and pineapple on pizza? Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for all of this in today's episode. I'm really excited to hear from our connected yoga teachers and their thoughts and ideas around how they make yoga philosophy connect with running a yoga business, or when it feels really off, or things that feel off in the experience of receiving, marketing emails and social media posts. Let's continue this conversation for sure. You can join our Facebook group. That's the Connected Yoga Teacher group. Or you can post a comment in the show notes. That'll be over at theconnectedyogateacher.com/297. I think some of my key takeaways for this was when Rebecca said, let's take the shame out of this. Let's take that out of it. And she asked this great question, are we shifting away from cultural appropriation, or are we just adding shame into that mix? That was a really great question for me to sit with. And also, I love how she said, let's stop picking on teachers who are sharing goat yoga. Maybe they need to do that to pay the bills. So there are many, many times where I feel as a yoga teacher where I ask the question, hey, is that really yoga? And Rebecca asked me in this interview and all of us to take a look at, when we feel that way, are we also considering that this person is trying to pay their bills and make a living? So I thought all of it was definitely something to think about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let's continue the conversation for sure. Speaking of continuing the conversation, soon on the podcast, we're celebrating episode 300, which means I would love to hear from you. We might not be able to fit all of that into episode 300, but at any time you can leave us a voice message over on our website. You'll see the button there. It says leave a voicemail. You can also send us an email. It will tell you at the bottom of our website how to do that. And you can always leave a comment on our website if it's about a particular podcast episode. Something else I'd love to hear from you about is if you're using Offering Tree. So as I say over and over again, I just love this company. I use it myself. We actually just started using it to book our podcast interviews. And if you are using Offering Tree, leave me a voice message. Tell me how it's going. Let me know if you want to tell me about that experience or send me an email about it. I'd love to share that here on the podcast as well. Also, I want to tell you about what's happening inside of Pelvic Health Professionals. We have 2 really great calls. In November, we're focusing on hypermobility and pelvic health with Libby. And then soon we're going to have a podcast guest who will be talking with us about yoga for menopause. And that is going to be our focus for discussion in December. So if you would like to learn about hypermobility and how that impacts pelvic health, or if you'd like to learn more about how you can help your yoga students who are dealing with menopause or who are pre or postmenopausal, make sure to join us over at pelvichealthprofessionals.com. Oh, and when you join, you also get access to all of our previous calls and trainings. It's all included. It works kind of like Netflix, where you pay month by month, but you can sign up and cancel at any point. And we really aim, something that we do that Netflix doesn't do, is we really aim to answer your questions. So you can submit your questions and really be part of the conversation. Next week, I'm really excited that we get to share some podcast listener emails. We had a lot of responses that came back after we talked about doing a yoga photo shoot. And so I want to tell you about why I think we had so many responses, and also what those responses were, because I think they were pretty inspiring. Thank you to our team over here making today's episode possible. Suzanne, who does the audio engineering, Crunch, who is writing our show notes as she travels around the world, and Sinead, who is doing so much to support our community. Thank you also to you, dear listener. You make the podcast possible. Your questions, the work that you do out in the world, they really matter to us, and we're just honored. We're honored over here. I am completely honored that you are taking the time to listen all the way to the end of today's episode to dig into this conversation about philosophy and running a yoga business. And I'm also curious to know, what will you be doing this week to stay connected to yourself, your yoga practice, and to your community so that you can share the yoga that lights you up?